Alrighty then, just let me finish stretching, and then we can get started.
Oh, but I don't get enough time to stretch, huh? I see how it is.
No, you don't get enough time to stretch. You should have done your stretches before you went into the Crucible. You don't...
Not in the Crucible. I'm fighting big monsters.
Well, big monster's not gonna be like, oh, I'm sorry you didn't do your stretches today. Go ahead and stretch, Guardian.
Oh, it's a bigger monster than that. It's Final Fantasy Monster 15.
Yeah, well, it's fine. Oh, your majesty, please. Stretch. Anyways.
Not even work-related monsters shaking me.
Not even work-related monsters that she's distracting herself with.
Technically, I am playing as my Shortfall character, so that counts, I think.
Oh, sure. Okay, fine. Anyways, hi everyone. Welcome to another episode of our... God, did we have a name for this? Or are we just saying, like...
Nope.
Qodron's
You're just saying Vodcast.
Vodcast, yeah. I was saying vodcast, which is a word that exists here. Yeah, Qodron's Uprising, developer commentary. I think this is our 4th recording. Yeah, this is recording number 4, episode number 4, I suppose that'll be. Today, we've got some interesting things to talk about here. And I'm really glad that we have Snake here for this, because Snake, your comments from, I want to say the second one, if I remember correctly.
So you do.
Comments from the second one really came into play today. But before we get to that, let's do a little bit of background of what we're going to be talking about. So in our last stream, we had Medi, Eidolon Gold, Eidolon Red, and Xerix, who were playing the characters here. Medi was playing Mori, Eidolon Gold was playing Ariadne, Eidolon Red was playing Trillium, and Xerix was playing Enyo. They were going on a fresh run through Qodron's Uprising, the Prison of Elders. And they went through the junkyard just fine, and then they went into the sewers, because they had the sewers access key, which Medi had from a previous run. If we go over to our map here. So they went junkyard, sewers, and then they got to the door. And in our last episode, we had talked about this door, and we had talked about this puzzle, and trying to find ways of bridging the gap between player knowledge and character knowledge, and letting a character influence how a puzzle is solved. And so, just as a recap of how this puzzle works. Yeah, what's that?
Do you want to put up your stream for us?
Oh, God, are you guys not... Oh, yeah, of course you're not.
That was the first thing. And the second thing, do we usually not introduce ourselves?
Oh, God, we usually do.
It's a little late for that. Nobody wants to know who we are now.
Everyone
needs to know who I am. Do not perceive me.
Everyone knows
I
who
haven't
everyone
spoken
is.
yet. I haven't even spoken yet. I've been completely invisible this whole time.
It's too hot out for this shit.
This vodcast has been a shambles from the start.
It's not even... We've got 3 of us are here. Snake is running around in Final Fantasy land, and yet the only one paying attention is Snake.
I was paying attention, excuse you. I just hadn't said anything
just wasn't gonna
I wasn't
say
told
anything.
to speak yet. Nobody gave me permission. I hope all of this stays in, by the way.
Snake, thank you for being the only one here who was brave enough to call out the Emperor's new clothes.
You're welcome. I'll always tell you when you're naked.
Damn it. Anyways, let's talk about this stupid puzzle. So the puzzle...
Hey, this puzzle. Do we want to introduce ourselves now or no?
No, it's too late now. I'll put it in the description.
Okay. By the way, hi, I'm Lord.
God damn it. Fine, we'll introduce ourselves right here, right now. We're how many minutes into this?
Is anybody who has listened this long, like, either A, not know who we are, or B, care
Surprised.
who we are?
Care.
Are they surprised? You never know. You get new, new viewers all the time.
I have to assume they care.
This is just another Manic Monday.
Yeah, let's stop talking about doing it and just actually do it. Hi, I'm Snake. I'm the artist, one of the artists for D&DESTINY.
I'm Lore. I'm the other artist for D&DESTINY.
I'm Kitty. I shouldn't be in charge of this, and yet I am.
I'm Martin, the editor and writer for D&DESTINY.
And we have a puzzle that went completely
puzzle.
wrong.
Much
So-
Not
like
the
this
worst
video.
puzzle. Not the worst puzzle that has happened.
It didn't.
But-
Yeah, it was still a fun time. There was that
A
at
beautiful
least.
accident, really.
So how the puzzle works is that there is this door, blast-proof door. You can't get through it. You have to enter in the passwords to unlock the 4 locks on the door. And each password has a password hint, which is what you're seeing over here. And these password hints, I think my screen just froze. Oop, there we go. I made them all nice and big, but things are chugging along there. There we go. You got it, Google. But these passwords hints, they are word associations. And last time we showed this, it was because the last time Pirate Team got there, it was like 10 minutes before the stream or whatever is going to go live. It was right before the stream went live, and it was like, ah, crap, we never even wrote in the password hint. So I had to write in a bunch of stuff. And then Martin, who washed his hands of the password, was like, actually, you know what, never mind. Picked it back up again and rewrote what these password hints are going to be. And they're way better than the ones that I had, by the way. Martin, you did fantastic with this. It's really unfortunate the direction the players ended up going with it, but anyways. So, you get the password hint. It is written in Elixir. There was an there wasn't an Elixir on the team, so there's someone who could read it, and then they have to figure out what the solution is. They punch the solution in, and we had talked about bringing in the character to the puzzle solving situation. And so I had added on this thing of passive solutions, like if a character has a passive score of 19 or higher in the indicated skill, which is in this column over here, you can award them with the knowledge of the correct password if they can explain why that is the correct password. So, yeah, basically you give them the solution and you say, alright, but tell me why that's the solution is, because I do want them to understand how this puzzle works, because this relates to the Vex network node and how that works. This is like a mini version of how you're supposed to solve the puzzle in that area. So it's kind of vital that they understand this one because it gives them a leg up for the end of the game. But they got here, they started doing this, they got to the child parent skiff catch, they figured that one out easy peasy, and then they got to the second one, stars and fish. We're going to have to watch here, and we're going to go look at what their response to this was. So I'm going to try to get us to the right time. Just going to mute this while it plays forward a little bit. Because I had just given them, what the hint was, and they took some time to read it in chat. And then they started discussing it, and that's what we're going to be listening to, is them discussing this puzzle and what they think the solution is to this puzzle. Is everyone ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're gonna hit play when I say 1. That's how I do it. So 3, 2, 1.
She reads that out, but she looks confused.
What the hell does that mean?
Makes sense. So what is to stars as fish is to?
And that's it. That was the moment that I started internally screaming at myself. And I was like, no, frick! They got the wrong idea of how the puzzle works! That was completely my fault. That had to do with the design of the puzzle, because they didn't think to use the last answer, which is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to take the solution from the last answer, you put that in the front here, so it'd be what is catch is to stars as fish is to what. And they're like, oh, the word that, it's the same word on both sides. What is to stars as fish is to what? It's one word that fills in both sides. It's like, frick! Crap! They got completely misled.
Well, but that's also just never how these kind of analogy exercises work.
Well, first of all, you can't go to school to study narrative analogies. There's like 1 week in your English class.
I mean, yeah, I guess if you had never seen one of these before, you might not know that the whole point of them is to not juxtapose, but compare, two sets of different words that have some sort of underlying similarity. But, having seen the first example...
But here's the thing, though. They still ended up getting this one right. They still ended up...
Oh, no!
Somehow, they ended up getting this one right. And not only did they get this one right, they got the next one right, too! Got lucky guesses. They logicked their way into it, following, it's the same word on both sides. And they logicked their way into using sea and sky.
I think we can fix this if we describe the lock mechanism in a way that implies, because right now it just says there are 4 panels, right? But
yeah,
if we changed it to describe that, the input, that the panels are connected in a way that, somehow illustrates that the last term in one seems to, be where the next one starts in some physical way. Maybe that would clarify the relationship between each segment.
that would actually be lovely. Because the only thing that saved them here was they got to the last one, and I kind of threw them a bone, and I started DMing people because they were making skill checks at the same time. Oh god, I'm gonna have to do all
Yeah, there was a point when I realized, Kitty just threw them a bone.
Yeah.
Oh my god, they didn't even actually know what the puzzle was this far into it. They've gotten 3 of these correct and they don't even understand the full puzzle. This is insane.
Yeah. Oh.
It was like, oh no.
So, while that's loading, there was a point where I had to make an intelligence saving throw, and one of their characters got really freaking high. They either got a nat 20 or they rolled like a 29 or something like that. It was ridiculous. Yeah, so at one point, because they had actually passed the nature on one of them. So I told you what it is, but you don't get to input the word unless you can roleplay how your character figured out and explain why this is the answer. And then maybe was like, cool. I was like, the answer is C, and they got it. They were actually guessing C before I even said that, by the way. And, you actually got it wrong, but it was a compelling explanation, so I played it as lucky guess. And I thought, they'll figure it out on the next one. They didn't, but they still got it right. And then, we did the intelligence saves. I had them, you get the sinking suspicion that your explanation for why the previous password fit the password hint is wrong. You got lucky, basically. And then they were discussing it, and eventually they did manage to, and by they, I mean Xerix's character, who was the 15 on the roll here, had the 15 plus 4, which gave it a 19, which was what they needed. The 13 plus 5 was an 18. That was a 3, got absolutely nothing. Trillium only had a plus 1, so even though Trillium rolled a 17, it was still an 18. Enyo was the only one who got the high enough roll for that. So I explained to Enyo, if you spend your inspiration, your student inspiration, you can have the answer. Because at this point we've been doing this for like an hour, and I kind of just wanted to just get through the door, just go through the door so that we could fight the Overmind. And I explained, the answer from the previous password is the first entry in the next password. Child is to parent as skiff is to catch, and catch is to stars as fish is to sea. And from there, they figured out that the answer was traveler. And I threw him another bone, and I mentioned that, this is written in Elixny. Elixny don't call the traveler, it's great machine. And originally they tried doing machine Kel. I had to be like, no, just great machine! God damn it!
Yeah. Good effort, though.
Good effort. And so this whole situation was kind of a comedy of errors. It was still a lot of fun, though. And I would really appreciate it if we could figure out some way of hinting stronger how the puzzle works. And yeah, it is still continuing the quest for how to answer the question of making a puzzle that's designed to be solved by people who are not you. They're not you, the player. You know, you're playing a character. Your character is going to have a perspective on this puzzle that's going to be very different from what you, the player, would have. I'm just going to call that one a success, because it was fun. That's all that really matters in the end. So yeah, they went through there. They went into... Oh yeah, we were here for a while. Hang on. Okay. They went into the Rotten Crypts, and they fought the Hive in here. And folks, I have a confession to make.
Oh.
What is it?
It was like an hour before stream, and I was prepping. And I was rolling up all the monsters, and I was putting them on the pages, and all that fun stuff, and I was getting ready, and I was just doing all my normal prep and everything, and I thought, oh, you know, we're probably going to get over here today if they can solve the puzzle, so I'll get the Overmind all set up.
And?
The Overmind was not in Roll20. The Overmind? I didn't have the Overmind's character sheet in Roll20. Like, I knew what I wanted the Overmind to do, and I had this really janky version of a character sheet that I had to go through the encounter with. It was... I should have saved it, because this morning, before I did this, I went through and I fixed it. And I actually made it into a proper character sheet that has all the mythic actions and everything. But this was so jank. This was so jank before them. It was just literally copy-pasted the Gatelord stat block, and just this mass detainment text block. It just says, does detainment summon Stygians, stays in one spot. And that was it. That was all I had. But yeah, Snake. Snacky.
Oh, no.
Yes. Snake, do you remember a couple sessions ago when we were talking about the Overmind Minotaur and this locked door down here, the one that you only get through if you defeat the Overmind with the physical damage, and you had brought up the point that tabletop role-playing games and campaigns and stuff aren't typically replayed. So having hidden content does mean that when you talk to other people about the campaign that you went through, you can have different stories of how you went through that campaign, but no one's gonna really replay a campaign.
Mm-hmm.
I had been thinking about that, and the Overmind Minotaur, the final stat block for this, ended up being so heavy-handed on the do not use light to attack this thing. I drew the line at it heals if you hit it with light abilities.
Oh, man.
Like, I thought about straight up doing that for this thing. But no.
Oh my.
Yeah, it's just had resistances to arc, solar, and void damage, and it had kinetic-aligned energy shields. So it was... You had to use kinetic damage to break through its energy shields. And the Stygians would, you know, recharge the energy shields and stuff. And they did end up, thankfully, figuring that out. But I thought they weren't going to figure it out. I honest to God thought they had not figured out that they needed to use kinetic damage, because they were casting supers and stuff at it towards the end. Ariadne was a Storm Trance and did Storm Trance, and Enyo did a whatchamacallit, Tectonic Fist, and Trillium Nova bombed it, and I was like, seriously? Thankfully.
Well, it's a boss.
Yeah, I know it's a boss, but I did have its health bar displayed, and I did that specifically because I started blatantly telling the players things like, hey, you want to know how much damage that Nova Bomb just did? And they can see this tiny little chunk got moved. This tiny little baby chunk, and then when they were actually hitting with kinetic weapons, it was like, oh, look how much this does, and it's this huge chunk that got taken off. Barely by the end of it, they figured out the kinetic thing. Barely.
And they broke everything?
And they broke everything.
They got it?
They got it. They did crash through the wall. And then this whole session was just absolutely ridiculous because they crashed through the wall. And I read the description of them coming across the unfinished cell block and the dust everywhere. And one of the players was a Stormcaller, so summoned a Zaplight to shed light on the area. And then nobody looked around. Nobody looked around. They just moved on to the next area. And I was like, are you kidding me? What is this fire team? There are 3 warlocks in
Maybe.
here, and you what?
Maybe they just thought it was a shortcut.
They moved on? I thought they were still there.
No, they moved on. Mori did a perception check for scent, and I said that there was a scent of Elixni, but also there's, Elixni pods here. And then Mori was like, oh, okay, there's nothing then. And then Ariadne did a visual perception check and rolled a 13, and there was like, well, I don't see anything. And no one else in the fire team was like, you know what, we're done, we're just gonna move on.
And once again, we come back up to the same thing, right? Where there's a chance that they might find something and the chance that they might not. So how hard should the DM be smacking their players in the face with content,
Apparently really freaking hard. God. I'm hoping the next fire team that comes in here.
I thought you didn't have to prompt gamers to voraciously explore suspiciously empty areas, but I found wrong.
Mm-hmm. You and me
It depends on the
both.
mood in my... So?
Yeah.
Like, if you've been at it for a while, eventually... I mean, there's only so many empty chambers someone can take, but they shouldn't have any empty chambers in here, This is a new place. This is a whole new area they busted open. They should have been more interested. Oh, well.
Maybe we can... Because if they do the Caged Wolf's quest, eventually they get to a point where there is a transmat pad set up outside of the hidey hole in the wall. So maybe we can just put that in the description in the first place, say that, an inactive, but modified transmat pad sitting out here where it looks like there's nothing going on and no one around. And you notice that a bunch of cables are snaking into the wall from the thing. And you wouldn't find the, hidden entrance behind the wall from examining the cables going into the wall, but maybe that's enough of a prompt to make them search the rest of the wall and find what they're supposed to find.
Maybe. I was thinking of... Well, we're gonna have to see, first of all, this fire team, I'm tempted to say, is like Spider's Gorge over here. I'm tempted to say this is what this fire team is. I kind of want to see if another fire team coming through that has higher passive perceptions, so I can just tell a character, hey, there's this here. Because all the passive perceptions on this team are really low.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the highest was a 15.
Something like that. They're pretty low.
Do they have any investigation going?
Like I said, they did the one perception check for smell and the one perception check for sight, and then nobody else did anything else.
No, I mean like investigation skill. Are they good at that?
Maybe.
Man.
No, that'd
Well, it's something.
be 1. Trillium? Can you come to the
Because if
rescue?
someone's getting touched, you can always say like it's investigation this time.
Oh,
But their
Trillium's-
perception is better anyway.
Okay, so Trillium was up to a 17. I don't think Enyo. Nope, that's a negative 1. That's not gonna do him any favors. Last one was Ariadne. And nope.
So 8 perception. That's still pretty good though.
That was pretty good. I thought this was lower. It's still 1 point lower than they needed to get the automatic, which was the passive 19. But, oh no, that's not what I wanted to do. Well, you deleted everything except the thing I didn't want you to delete! Whatever.
Kitty.
Roll 20.
Oh god. Can you undo? Is there an undo button?
Oh, it doesn't matter. It's, let's just
Okay.
redraw it.
Okay.
It was just kind of funny that it selected and deleted everything I didn't want it to. But, okay. So, I want to talk about Overmind Minotaur a little bit more, because Marden, in development for this creature and this fight, you had brought up the suggestion of actually turning this into a labyrinth fight. Or a labyrinth they had to get through. Could you extrapolate a little bit on what you meant by that?
Well, I didn't mean anything specific by that, other than that, the Minotaur and the reference to a myth about a creature that lives in a literal labyrinth, and we had somehow or other named this encounter the Overmind Labyrinth, because, it's where the Overmind Minotaur hangs out, and I had just suggested in the most open-ended sense the question of whether we want the Overmind's labyrinth to be an actual labyrinth. I didn't have any specific idea how we would implement that. And we just decided to set aside that question for the time being.
Well, I'd like to revisit that question. And, I would like to propose something to you. Okay. So, what if we did a situation where it's not really, or not necessarily a traditional fight, but, you're in a labyrinth, as it were. And to defeat the Overmind, it was a little bit more than just shoot it until it dies situation. It had some sort of, conflux relay thing going on here that meant that you had to run around the labyrinth and flip various switches, and you had to split the fire team to do this, and someone may or may not be a simulation the next time you run into them. What I'm saying is, what if we kind of just made Among Us? But...
Oh no.
I guess that would help us appeal to the youth demographic.
Appeal to the youth, right? The other comparison
Am I part of the youth demographic too?
The other comparison that we could make here is Trevor. The Trevor encounter.
Oh, yes, yes. Trevor.
Yeah. So you have
Somebody's coming to murk them?
Well, not Trevor. The Overmind Minotaur is coming to murk them.
Mm-hmm.
And, we could, go full Minotaur on this, and we could have the Minotaur do, this bull rush thing, and if it sees you, it rushes down the entire hallway, and it will absolutely insta-gib you if it runs into you. And you have to basically split up, survive, and navigate this labyrinth.
We've got dynamic lighting, right?
We do, but I actually hate using it because it slows everything down.
It slows everything down.
How bad is it though?
Unplayable kind of bad.
What browser are you using on?
Chrome.
Should I switch to Firefox?
Actually, Roll20 is built for Chrome, not Firefox, so Firefox.
What the hell?
Roll20.
Then why does it work always better for me than everybody else who's using Chrome?
I don't know, but I also know from past experience of us trying to use dynamic lighting, it has always gone really poorly. There's always someone in the party whose computer can't handle it.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. Especially trying it for a stream.
But Martin, what's going on?
Yeah, so what if they gotta run around the Minotaur to find some switches that actually, they gotta run around the labyrinth to find some switches that make the labyrinth walls disappear, so they actually get a DPS.
That's interesting.
And then, if they don't go to Overmind fast enough, the walls come back up, so they have to, or at least they have the opportunity to strategize about positioning, so that, and again, if the walls come down when they're in the places where the switches are, then they'll already be where the switches are when the walls come back up, so unless we move the switches around.
That was really quiet for me, and also I'm getting a lot of white noise from your mic.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just contemplating how we could implement a thing where the walls go down and come back up that would force them to reposition between rounds.
I mean, I got an idea for a completely different Vex Minotaur labyrinth puzzle, but it's pretty different from actually wandering around.
Freaking, let's hear it. Why not?
I don't know the specifics of the mechanics, but so a lot of the problem with it's not always very engaging to be moving your token around. So I was thinking maybe it's just a room with a bunch of portals in it, and one of them leads out, but they're always switching around. And the solution is the same as it is to the mythological Minotaur labyrinth, which is put a rope through all the portals because they're always switching, right? But if there's a rope through them, they can't switch, and then they can walk through the right one. Does that make sense?
I like that.
It makes enough sense for Martin. I think I've heard that version of the myth. Mostly the version of the Bull of Minos.
It's the...
I was gonna say, the version of the Minotaur and the Labyrinth that I am aware of was iterated to me via a Tumblr post written by a drunk historian at about 2 a.m. And honestly, it's one of the funniest posts I've ever read in my life. But yeah.
Oh, the whole portals that are switching places is not part of any kind of myth. I just figured I can make it Vexy and less movement based. And solving the problem of a labyrinth works because you can't see what's out there. But if we don't have dynamic lighting in Roll20, then it's going to be a hassle to make them not see.
Yeah.
And we can try seeing if we can get that together by the time another group goes to the Overmind Minotaur. Even if it's not used in this module for the Overmind Minotaur, that's something that I would like to try putting in somewhere in the future, because that just sounds fun.
Yeah.
I think here is where we're going to wrap up this discussion of the last stream. I did have a couple of fun things that I wanted to point out. There was this really interesting, cool moment. Oh, where was it? 2:05. Boop, 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 boop. Oh god, yeah, this moment. Oh man, so we had the art conduits here that were shedding bright light, and this one blew up with Trillium in range of it, and Trillium had 72 health points left and took 71 damage from the conduit. Literally one freaking point.
Yeah, that's just how it goes. It's
And we
either exact or they leave one behind.
It gets down to 1 point so many times. It's really hard to believe that this is actually random. Like, I want to say this is by design, but it's dice. I can't design for you're getting left with 1 hit point in a dream. It's a slot machine. The chances of that and how often that happens are absolutely ridiculous. Also, we did kill Enyo. Not permanently, Enyo's back, but Enyo can die, and we did kill her. So,
yep.
That was good.
Great.
But alright, we're gonna bid adieu for now. We're gonna try to figure out how to spruce up the Overmind Minotaur fight. And maybe next time we'll remember how to do a proper intro. Yeah.
Maybe.
Do you want to... Oh, man. Yeah, let's do that then.
Yeah, maybe next time. And make good choices, everyone, and try not to die.
Bye-bye.